Hey, what's up everybody? This is OurMusicBox and today I want to show you guys a new flak one-shot build targeted on just farming bosses, and this is using some of the new legendary items from DLC 1, including his new class mod. And this is a very targeted build on using specific items to one-shot bosses and be able to farm bosses very quickly. So let's go right into the talents. So this build's talents are a lot less important than the actual gear because the gear is so specialized into being able to get all this massive damage increases to be able to one-shot bosses. So the talents are pretty much just a normal flak build, but it's the gear where this build really gets specific. So first off, we're going into the Stalker tree. First, we're going Furious Attack, which is just a stacking buff and shooting enemies for damage and pet damage mainly. Overclocked, fire rate, extra fire rate when reloading. Eager to press, just pretty much a cooldown after killing things to help your action skill ability, which really doesn't come into play that much at all. Turn tail and run and remain using it when standing still. You gain gun damage and fire rate. Fast and the Furious, when you're above half health, you and your pet gain damage increases. This is a pretty big buff, and since we get more with our class mod, it's a pretty massive damage increase buff. Then Hidden Machine, when your target is attacking you or attacking someone else, you gain 30% damage increase, which works with fadeaway since you're invisible. Then the Power Inside, you and your pet gain increased damage after an action skill, and this is doubled at full health, which is massive because it's 15 seconds, 50% damage increase for both you and your pet, and this works at the start of a fight, so you just pop your action skill at the start of a fight and get a massive damage increase. We're using Fadeaway with Gorilla in the Mist and Unblinking Eye. Next tree, we have the Hunter tree. We have Leave No Trace. A lot of these also aren't important. Like, these first two really not super important. Leave No Trace, when you score a critical hit, there's a chance to add 1 ammo back to your magazine. 36% chance. Again, a lot of the stuff is just mainly to get lower in the tree and using the only stuff that is actually at all useful. Second intention, Hunter kill skill. When you kill an enemy, you have increased reload speed. Just basically a reload speed talent. Not used a ton either. Hunter's Eye. Actually, we don't have any of this. This is just from our class mod. This one you could go into. I guess it would be somewhat useful for stuff, but I think these other talents are a little bit better. Head count. When you score critical hit, there's a chance your active skill cooldown is reduced. This is really important if you're going against bosses with immunity phases, so you can get your action skill up in between of those immunity phases, because it's very important that if you're facing any boss that has those immunity phases, that you have your action skill cooldown, your fade away, for when they come out of their next immunity phase, because that's where a lot of your damage comes from. That's where a lot of your burst is from. 3 in Ambush Predator. There are no enemies nearby. Flat gains, handling, and crit damage. 5 out of 5 Two Fang has a 25% chance to fire an extra projectile. Then 3 out of 3 Big Game. Flex Hunter skills become more effective and have a longer duration. And last, we have Persistent Hunter. This is very important. You need 3 out of 3 in this. This is incredibly important. You gain increased gun damage and action skill duration plus 45%. That's the main thing you want, because now that Fadeaway lasts just its whole duration, you want to have as much duration on it as you possibly can. So you definitely need that, especially for some specific boss that you definitely want that. Now, this is where it gets very specific. So this build is using Flak's new class mod, which is the stackbot. Whenever Flak scores a critical hit, they gain increased weapon damage until they don't score a critical hit. This affects stacks. So I've tested this before. I've done a video before the DLC on this, and basically how this works is, even with a weapon like a shotgun with different pellets, all the pellets count as a hit, so count as a critical hit. And with fadeaway, you can just shoot all of the shots as a crit, and then it stays. So as you see here, I hit the target dummy for 8,000, 7,000 I guess, and if I score critical hits, it's much higher. So I can just stack this. I think it's around 8 shots for a redundant shotgun, because that's 14 pellets, to fully stack it. And it's about a 500% damage increase when it full stacks. So now, that was actually an amp shot. So now, I'll shoot, it's 69k. Now that's just my normal crit on the head of this target dummy, just because of how much damage increase I'm getting. Now, once this is stacked, if you don't shoot anything, you could fast travel around, you can do whatever, and it's still going to be stacked. So what I can do is I could switch to an ion cannon, which is one of the highest damage weapons in the entirety of the game, charge up a full shot, and then hit the target dummy and hit 10 million out of crit right there. And that's just right there. That's not stacking, that's not other damage increases, because we do have some other damage increases after our fadeaway. That's just 10 million just from our class mod and the weapons damage itself, which is absolutely massive. So any shotgun is going to work good with redundant and times 14. And it's around 8 shots is what I was testing. I think it's around a 20% damage increase per shot. And since it's times 14, it gets times 14 that every hit up to 500% around there. And you would just shoot like 8 shots or around a full clip. And then you switch your ion cannon. And how that would work is you basically just fade away, shoot anywhere a ton, just shoot a bunch of magazines. You would switch your weapon. Now, for pretty much every boss, you would wait till fadeaway is done, then you would shoot. Now it does a lot more because we have a bunch of on-action skill and stuff. So first off, this one-shotting is done with pretty much no good anointed effects on any of these weapons. You could get 125% increased splash damage, 125% increased damage to like named enemies, 100% damage just after your action skill adds. You can get those on your ion cannons. Now I really haven't gotten lucky to get those. I've mainly gotten lucky on Zane builds with my ion cannons, but you can get those and have a pretty big damage increase. And I don't have those, and I'm still able to one-shot some bosses, as you'll see in the footage. So for ion cannons, mainly just get ones that are times 2 and that are whatever element you want. You don't essentially, I guess, need the really good anointed effects, but they will help. Like I'm showing you guys, I don't really have them. So for stackbot, you mainly want to get talents Fast and the Furious, which is this, just damage increase above half health. The other decent role is Pack Tactics, gives you and your pet increased damage and health, mainly for the damage. You really don't want that much because I don't think it's that great for the Hunter's Eye, because it's just weird against whatever you're fighting. And then just good rolls on the stackbot. Now, for the artifact, you can't use Elemental Projector. I know you can't shoot yourself or it'll count not as a crit. I don't know how grenades work, so I pretty much just don't use this. I just use whichever one had my best secondary stat rolls on it. Now for the shield's pretty important as well, because I'm using a version O.M. If you don't know what this does or what I'm using it for, it uses 20 or 25% of your max HP. I don't know the exact amount of that. And does a really big amp shot. It's like 125% damage. It's the biggest amp shot of a shield in the game. The rerouter is 120%. So the rerouter is pretty much just good for damage, but it takes more of your shield away. And this is another reason, this specific shield is another reason why I pretty much wait to the end of fadeaway. Because if I'm in a boss fight and in fadeaway, I'm not going to be getting attacked. And if I have that shield that'll amp, say I pop fadeaway, I shoot a bunch of my shots. The first shot took the amp shot. So then I switch, I wait for my shield to go up, I wait for my action skill to end, then I shoot the shot. And as you saw, that was 26 million fire damage and then 4 million cryo damage. Legitimately, that was a 30 damage hit just sitting here. Because we got the increased damage from the version O.M on our ion cannon for waiting for our shield to come back up. Then we got the 50% cryo damage on our action skill end for waiting for our fadeaway to end. And then we got 50% bonus incendiary damage for waiting for our fadeaway to end again for our shield anointed to proc. Now, past the version O.M, get the version O.M even if there's no anointed on. It's going to be much better than on the action skill on effect. If you can get one with an on action skill on effect for this, it's going to be much better. I only have this cryo one, so I'm always doing cryo damage. And past that, just get whatever are the best anointeds for you on the grenade or shield mod. So whatever elemental damage is going to be best for that boss. I have a lot of grenades, so I could pretty much do whichever elemental effect I want on the grenade. Just make sure the shield and the grenade elemental effects from their anointeds are not stacking. And that's pretty much the entirety of the build. So again, to run through how I go about doing the bosses, is I would have my redundant shotgun. I think there are some shotguns that have more than 14 pellets, but I don't really have them, so just get a redundant, which is 14 pellets. You're going to pop your fadeaway. You're going to shoot a bunch of shots. I usually just shoot close to a full magazine. Switch to an ion cannon. Charge it up, wait till fadeaway ends. Then hit a crit if you can. And then you hit around 30 million on the target dummy. And that's pretty much the entirety of what you do. Also, I don't think I showed you guys what pet I'm using, but I'm using the Spider and Scorcher just for 10% elemental damage. It's pretty much the best one you can get without getting these ones down here. So that's pretty much the entire build. It's a pretty good build. It's the only way I could find getting this class mod to really work well is to use like a very specialized boss killing one-shot build, but it does work pretty well. As you guys can see, I'm able to one-shot a lot of different bosses. So subscribe if you want to see more Borderlands 3 content. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this build. If you guys have any questions about where to get any of these items or anything like that, how the build works, leave it in the comments. I'll try to reply to everybody, and thanks for watching.
Peekaboo! Viewers, comment in the street and tell us how you want the Vault Thief to die. We got moderators standing by. Viewers, comment in the street and tell us how you want the Vault Thief to die. We got moderators standing by. I've missed you, girl. I will. Well tracked, beast. Swooping in. Yes, to the bloodletting.